Welcome to Gaming Talks, the gaming YouTube channel where we give you 7 to 8 minute opinion pieces on video games. My name is Tooten, I'm your host today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Guardians of the Galaxy game and how it lost my interest, to be completely honest. Now, the last two videos I've made for this channel have been negative for the most part. I swear that's not going to be every video, but this is like a topic that's been floating through my mind recently, and it's really a problem with a lot of other games. As I said in my Fallout 76 video, a lot of the problems that we're going to talk about when it comes to specific games on this channel really relate to gaming in general as of recently. Now, I want to preface this in saying that Guardians of the Galaxy is a fantastic game. I love it. I love the characters that they made. I love the atmosphere. I love the gameplay. I love, the settings. Everything about it. The graphics are amazing. Like, it's really interesting. But I feel like it's not engaging to someone who's a huge comic fan too. And that's the weird thing, because the people it should be appealing to are the people it kind of pushes away. Now, I will say I'm a very busy person when it comes to YouTube. I run my own YouTube channel where I do news videos for a game called Dead by Daylight. So anytime there's news, I'm doing that. I have 2 kids. I don't have a lot of time to play video games, especially because I stream 5 days a week for a few hours a night. I play video games for about 3 to 4 hours a night with my fiance every night. So that's the amount of time that I have to play a video game nightly. And Guardians of the Galaxy happened to be one of those video games. Now, for the first couple of nights, it was really engaging, and it really pulled me in, and I was very interested in it. But as time went on, I found myself really hesitating to boot it up or even want to play it, to the point where I started playing other video games and it kind of got put to the back. I haven't even beaten the game yet because I have no motivation to launch it. And why is that? I think I understand why. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of those properties that blew up in recent years, within the past 10 years, because of James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy movie. The comics, the Marvel comics, completely changed the characters around to incorporate that style that James Gunn created with those characters. So every iteration of these characters are basically the same now. It looks like Chris Pratt in the comics. They act like they're characters from the movies. Like, everything is based off the Guardians of the Galaxy movie now. And that is so for the game. You're basically playing as the characters from the movie with different looks. There's Drax, the very, very literal character. There's Rocket, the angry raccoon. There's Groot, the one-word person. 3 words, sorry, I am Groot. You got Peter Quill, Chris Pratt, personified, and then Gamora, who's just like angry but flirty lady. Like, all the characters are the same. They're just not the likeness of the characters from the movie. Now, where does the problem really lay? Well, it's not really with that. It's really with the story for me. The story is engaging enough when you first start out. You're dealing with this, you're trying to bounty hunt this big monster for this lady. Where it comes back to not really engaging, and it actually kind of pushes away comic and, movie fans when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxies. I feel like I've already seen this story. I feel like I've literally seen this story. It's not the exact story, of course, but it's a combination of Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then a few of the Guardians of the Galaxy comic books. It's literally a combination of them all, with different character names, with a slightly different objective and motivation. There's some cool story elements, like, spoiler, Star-Lord being a dad this time around. There's some slightly different things like that, but overall, I felt like I've seen this story before. I felt like I've watched this story. It's just been in different pieces of media, and they kind of like chopped and spliced it all together into one game. It lost my interest. Playing it a couple of hours a night, not being able to run through it in one playthrough. Maybe that's because it's so linear. Maybe that's because I've been spoiled by these big open world games like Metal Gear Solid 5, and even linear games that are just really engaging with amazing characters and so much to do, even though it's on a linear scale, like Final Fantasy VII. And I would go as far as to say like Bloodborne, but then you have Red Dead Redemption and stuff like that, where it's open world and, a lot of effort gets put in. But I know not every developer wants to make a game like that. But Guardians of the Galaxy feels like it should have been that. It felt like it should have been an open world with a ton of side quests, a ton of things to do, ship upgrades and everything else, along with this big story. But I feel like I'm just sitting through watching Star-Lord, Peter Quill's mom, die again, but being interactive in it. I'm watching Peter Quill and Rocket argue again, just like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I'm watching them being chased by like a big entity, like holy entity, again, who is hell-bent on changing the universe or destroying the universe or something in between. I'm not really at the end of the game yet, but Guardians of the Galaxy 1, we're Ronan the Accuser, who's after the Infinity Stone, and even then the Infinity Stone is played into that. I think it's the Mind Stone this time around, so it just feels like I've seen and played this story again. I feel like this game would have benefited so much more by being an open world game where you have so many things to do, kind of along the lines of something like Final Fantasy VII, even if they wanted to stay, on a very linear scale, which, I mean, this is made by Square Enix, who, made the Final Fantasy VII remake. Of course, different developers within that. But, regardless, it felt like they could have done something like that. And I mean, even with that being said, I'm going to beat the game. I'm going to finish it eventually. But the topic of the video is it lost my interest. It hasn't been one of those games that's like every day when I get done working, or at night when it's time for me to play something besides Dead by Daylight, whatever else. It's not a game that I hear whispering, it's not the game that I'm thinking about all day. It's not the game that's whispering in my ear like, come play me or whatever. I've picked Fallout 76 over playing it recently, if that's saying anything. It just feels like there's more to do. It's an original story. And I'm just having more fun with that layout of game. Now, I'm not saying linear story games are dead, but I feel like linear story games have to be done in a right way nowadays. Last of Us 1 and 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'm going to keep referencing that game. Something like that. Even a linear game on the scale of like Sekiro and Bloodborne and the Dark Souls game, where it's kind of open world, but not really at the same time. You're always on this linear path. You can just choose which direction to go first. I like that idea too, but hopefully they learn from that. Hopefully, and not every game's going to be for everybody, but, I'm a huge comic fan. I'm a huge fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, so I was hoping this was going to be the one for me, and it just ended up not being it. And I don't know. I hope they learn from that. I hope they make the next game a little bit more open. I will beat this one. I do think this game is still amazing. The combat is interesting and engaging. I love what they did with that. I still like the characters, even though they're just like carbon copies with different faces of the James Gunn characters. And even the story as it is, I feel like they did take the most interesting parts from all of those stories and spliced it together. It's just, it's really hard to motivate myself to launch it when I have other games to play. Like, I can play the Skyrim 10th re-release, I can play Fallout 76, I can go back to Fallout 4, I can replay Metal Gear Solid 5, replay Red Dead Redemption 2, and there's some other games on the horizon that look really fun. It's just one of those things. But I don't know, let me know what you dudes think in the comments down below. I'm very interested to hear what you have to say about this. I know this is not really hot news anymore, as it was a very linear game. It didn't stay very popular for very long, but I'm sure there's some people out there who are still like playing the hell out of it and like diehard fans. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it, so let me know in the comments down below. That's going to do it for me though, Dukes. Thank you all so much for watching. You can follow me over on Twitter at twitter.com/TootinTV, and I have my own personal channel called Tootin, where we play and talk about Dead by Daylight on a pretty regular basis. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you dudes next time. Peace out.